Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Alhamdulillah, hari ni sekali lagi kita bertuah ada hebat yang untuk berkongsi ilmu bersama kita hari ni, iaitu Madam Nadiah, Dato Haji Thanthawi from English Language Department, UiTM insyaAllah. Sure, everybody knows her very well. Her achievement, contribution to the learning education platform. But before we start, I would love to say thank you. So, Madam Nadiah, session from ILD, but I cannot stay here because I pun ada meeting hari satu. But better. And to all participants, thank you so much. For any inquiry, you can type in the box, and Madam can read straight away, I think. So.
Tapi I'm in full screen at the moment, so I'll try and see.
Okay.
Okay. Full screen.
And attach for attendance, chat box juga. So for latihan lah. Okay. And so without further ado, welcome Madam Nadiah. Start now.
Okay. Alright. Hang on. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Thank you very much ILD UiTM Kedah, Dr. Farina, for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here to share with you anything that I know that inshallah could help and improve with the delivery in the classroom, inshallah. So thank you so much again for having me. Right, so just a little bit about my background. I think tadi Dr. Farimah ada cakap very well. I told her that I want to introduce myself like senang kan. So macam Dr. Wan Irham pun ada cakap tadi, saya tengok muka saya kenal kot. Saya nama saya macam ni sikit, tengok muka insyaAllah kenal. Saya di International Office selama 6 tahun dan pernah memegang pemangku pengarah, pemangku ketua dan sebagai koordinator, tapi pernah memegang these other various roles dan pernah jadi project manager for Global Staff bawah UiTM Transfer You. Dan some of my international experience include I was teaching at Opole University of Technology, Opole, Poland. And also in the same month, I went to teach dekat 30th International Summer Language School, University of West Bohemia in Pilsen, Czech Republic. So these two countries in 1 month, I conquer. And earlier that year, I was invited by the Embassy of Czech Republic to give a talk, a seminar for the delegation of Czech universities to Asia Pacific Association of International Education, punya delegation. And this was all after I left OIA. When I was with OIA, I think I was busy with other, I think, administrative work lah, connection, collaboration, all that. But all of this was after I left OIA. And I was a guest speaker in Malaysian Education Week World Expo Astana, Kazakhstan. And also I represented Malaysia in the ASEAN-China Education and Leadership Youth Exchange Program 2017. Okay, in Cambodia, right? So a little bit about CIDL. Sebelum tu, I think maybe people are aware of CIDL, but I just want to share with you. Okay, this is from the website. There are 12 collaborative groups under CIDL, and which includes social media, global learning, virtual learning, alternative assessment, open and distance learning, massive open online courses, design thinking, data, gamification, 360 video learning, makerspace and inclusive education. So global learning is one of the collaborative group parked under CIDL. So in that capacity, I am a fellow there for last year, and alhamdulillah this year renewed. Nasib baik renew kalau tak bagi talk. So renewed to pursue to continue to spearhead global learning in UiTM. So today, basically, I'll be sharing with you. I will speak BM and English lah. I think to make it more interactive. Tapi sekejap ya, saya tak boleh tengok the comment tu. Kejap. Let me try. Alright, tak apa. Let me continue first. So I think Dr. Farina or the AJK, the committee can help me later if ada any questions. I would encourage if you have any questions straight away at that point of time I'm going through the slide, please ask je. And I think committee can help to read out the questions. Right, so today I'm just going to cover the overview of the Malaysian Higher Education Blueprint and the high impact education practices by Malaysia, adapted by MOE and global learning at UiTM. So we're going to have a look at from general to more specific, and then we're going to talk about why do we do it and how to do it. Okay, this is the most important part lah. Okay. And the idea of global learning, I think I really agree with Daniel D. Foster. We must stop thinking that global education means going somewhere. There's so much global learning can occur in your own classroom. And the idea of this should not, maybe sound a little bit intimidating, but it's more of exciting at the same time, especially if you put yourself as a student to be able to learn in the classroom, but get to communicate and engage with people outside of the classroom. And just to share with everyone, this was last year, March until December. I think until January. Okay, we have covered all these 12 countries from being at home, working remotely from home, where in remote parts of Malaysia, and we have conducted global learning in all of this. We have been all over the world, I would say. Canada aja belum lagi. But pagi tadi saya pergi Canada. Pagi tadi I had a session with a colleague from Canada just before this session. So we can the southern part of America belum, the African continent belum. So tak apa, insyaAllah we will mark our flags there, that we've been there, done that. Okay, so these are the countries we've been to, including Cyprus, Puerto Rico, Czech Republic, Poland, Spain, Serbia, United States, New Zealand. Okay, and these are some of the speakers that I want to highlight. So they are not all Caucasian. Okay, we have a variety of guest speakers who come into our classroom and speak to the students. Okay, based on the global learning sessions conducted. Okay, so just to get you excited, all right. But before that, I want to talk to you about the bigger picture lah, the umbrella of macam mana global learning ni dari mana sebenarnya. Okay, so in the Malaysian Higher Education Blueprint, this is actually mentioned, tapi not specific to global learning. Cuma dia mention high impact education practices. And we talk about high impact education practices, actually bila we focus more on diversity. Tapi why is it that the name is global learning at UiTM? Sebab the definition of global learning in general from here, kita tak boleh nak pakai sepenuhnya. So I adopted it and make it global learning at UiTM to fit into our students punya demographic. Kan, we don't have international students for undergraduate degree. We don't have we don't have that opportunities. I would say very scarce and limited to those who can afford, or the faculty. There's a lot of things that we're trying to overcome. So that's why global learning in this context are defined specific to the demographic of UiTM students. All right. Okay, so what is high impact educational practices adopted by MOE, by Ministry of Higher Education, adopted from Professor George Professor George Koh. Oh, by the way, Professor George Koh, the man who founded high impact education practices in the US in 2008, I'm happy to announce, I think end of last year I approached him, and Alhamdulillah this year dalam January we managed to secure him. He is now a distinguished visiting professor under CIDL. So he will be with us lah. So dia akan conduct 2 professional lecture. Nanti kita akan blast to all UiTM staff, where dia punya main work is on high impact education practices and the essential learning outcomes of the 21st century. So ni memang he is the man yang memang dia punya framework used across America, US, and also in different in many countries around the world, especially when it comes to higher education institution. So so we also adopted that. okay, so the high impact education practices from Professor Emeritus George Koh, and he is now with us with UiTM as a distinguished visiting professor. I'm very happy and honoured to say that he is under CIDL lah, right? After months of negotiation and paperwork semua settle. So Alhamdulillah now he is with a CIDL, specifically under CIDL, tapi also because because global learning fellowship as a global learning we initiated, so we also want him to advise us on the global learning module yang sustainable that we would like to park under ILD. So anyway, that's just a bit of a background story. Okay, so what is high impact education practices in the context of Malaysia? So from that 11, we adopted 9. Okay, so one of it is still, global learning is still there. And what is global learning? So Education 5.0 at UiTM, we define global learning as innovative teaching approach that instills in learners a more extensive understanding and global consciousness on various fields of study where students learn, question and reflect about the world without physically crossing the geographical border. Now, going back to the statistic I mentioned, I found out, okay, let's talk about before Corona, before the pandemic, 2019, about 1,300 of our students from 160,000 students actually went abroad or for semester exchange in that year, 2019. So bila we calculate that and put that into numbers, it's only 0.007% of the total population of UiTM students yang ada international exposure or engagement, right? Or with people outside of Malaysia kan. And how do we reach out to this? How do we mitigate this? How do we solve this? This is a big, I think it's quite quite a big issue lah. I mean, for me, being a local graduate and have 6 years of international office, 6 years at the international office, it changed my worldview and perspective and my confidence in terms of to be where I am today, to go to Czech Republic, Poland, to connect with all these people with, I would like to say, with little fear, close to zero fear at all. So how do we get our students to also have this? So one way is to do global learning sessions with them in the classroom. So of course, this is a whole approach for UiTM. I was one of the writers for Education 5.0 at UiTM, and this is something that I talk about in the book, right? So what is global learning again? Global learning, okay, just to highlight a few key points. Global learning is tailored to specific course syllabus. So it's not that you can invite any Tom, Dick and Harry professor yang boleh bagi ceramah or whatever. No, you have to tailor it to the syllabus that you are teaching. So macam tadi Dr. Wan Irham ada tanya pasal ELC 650, I asked Dr. Wan Irham whether she is teaching, and he said he did. So I will share with you. Memang itu adalah one of the courses which I conduct a global learning session quite often, right? So global learning is key to making excellence inclusive. So we cannot have only 0.007% of the total population of 160,000 students to be exposed to internationalization or global things outside of the world. So global learning offers authentic and meaningful learning experience. And global learning connects and inspires. And to look at it into more detail, it says personalized lesson focuses on contextual knowledge, is tailored to a topic or of the syllabus. Students are given opportunities to listen and engage with guest speakers who are industrial practitioners and global players and experts from all around the world. I think I've shown you the map of global learning sessions conducted throughout last year from the pandemic, March until January. I mean, a few weeks ago lah, that was the last before we end our semester kan, week 14, week 13. So guest speakers are invited based on the lecturer's own professional network and initiative. This is another thing. That's why dekat CIDL under CG Global Learning, we acknowledge efforts by we acknowledge efforts by lecturers who conduct global learning sessions and give certificate, letter of appreciation, because this is something that something that I know it's not easy to start, tapi once you do it, you want to do it every semester. Okay, so global learning does not replace a lecturer's role. No, it supplements and it adds value to the students' learning experience. So it does not replace your role, just to be clear, but it will add value and it supplements your lesson. And just to also highlight that we have attained copyright for global learning at UiTM. So alhamdulillah, kita dah secure lah copyright untuk this module. And next is, okay, we have to understand also, tadi saya bagi tahu the umbrella of it lah, basically kenapa how it get to global learning ni, dari mana the birth of global learning. Now we have to understand why we have to do it, right? So one of it is the VC's mandate 2020, amanat VC, amanat Vice Chancellor yang diberi pada 20 Januari 2021 hari tu, dan why high impact education practice work and examples of global learning sessions conducted around the world. I'm going to share this with you. And okay, so just to highlight the important points which relates to global learning. So I think you are aware that ada 3 trust strategic yang diketengahkan oleh yang bahagia Dato Naib Chancellor, okay, pendidikan berkualiti, dan one of it is untuk meningkatkan pelaksanaan global learning, alright, dan global classroom. Okay, so that's why we have to do it this year. Okay, why high impact education practices work? So impact to students' learning, how? Learning becomes intentional, learning becomes educationally purposeful activities, right? Learning becomes highly interactive, learning become connected, right? And there's a deeper approach to learning in terms of application as well. Okay, students will analyze and synthesize the information, and they will do reflection and analysis. So that's why we do high impact education practices, and one of it is global learning. And why global learning? It enhances quality of teaching, it enhances students' learning experience, which is, I think, the core aspect of global learning initiative. The core aspect is students' learning experience, right? And it's also cost effective, and especially now in the context of virtual learning, kan? Online and distance learning. Okay, so if I can share with you, among the first few global learning session which was conducted was face-to-face, right? I invited a colleague from Germany. Initially, this was supposed to be a Skype session, tapi kebetulan dia nak datang Malaysia, and then dia kata, Nadiah, would you still like me to meet your students? So I said yes, and then she planned her whole schedule to Southeast Asia along the time that she's supposed to meet me. So I guess this is where networking comes in. I've never met her before. We've only been in touch through email and WhatsApp. I've assisted her with collaborations with UiTM. But anyway, with that said, I just want to say networking, collaboration is something that you have to maintain lah. It's not something that you can build overnight. And but inshallah, I think it's not impossible lah, I would say. Okay, but anyway, so going back to this. So the first few sessions was conducted face-to-face because this was before the pandemic, right? So she came into my classroom and students were baffled. Memang semua macam, oh my God, someone from Germany came into my class. And it didn't cost me anything formally lah. Basically, it's about I just fetch her from the hotel, send her back, took her for lunch, that kind of thing. So it's almost at a zero cost lah. Basically, it's just hospitality, Malaysian hospitality punya cost je. But still, it is very little compared to what she did and how she has inspired my students to go and to learn about what she shared with us in the classroom. So this was more of a joint lecture, right? I delivered the first part, and she continued to deliver the second part. Okay, why do it? One motivation that keeps this going is basically the students' feedback, what they learn, what they gain from the session. And, they can say things like, the iceberg theory really helps me to understand cultural stigma. I've never been so excited about Germany. I somewhat feel more confident to try new things, to explore different cultures and learn to respect them in the future. And one of them even said, I'm very encouraged to study abroad. And they also come into a realization that not all cultures I saw on media may truly represent the country. So this is the kind of learning with reflection that I think we want to expose students with. And if we expose students with the things outside of the world, outside of Malaysia to be specific, we're talking about knowledge contextualized, in the context of the syllabus and also related to the outside world. And this is formal, it's university class, right? It's not something that they can learn through media and through social media or through other platforms that we are not there to sort of like supervise or guide them or facilitate their understanding it. So these are the things that they wrote word for word. I did not extract or change anything. The second global learning session was in December 2019, which this was initiated by my colleague Wan Faizatul and myself. So she attended a talk by the US MC, and she wrote an email, and then we conduct this together, and this was for ESC 501. So now a session with two experts from US Embassy. So these two people are lawyers. They were lawyers. They were attached to Embassy of US, and the students, we get the students to moderate the session, and we get the students to moderate the sessions. So next is, just give me a minute. Sorry. Okay, so why do we do it again? So the students gave feedback like, I feel more confident in continuing my journey in law school. I feel that I like how the speakers interact with the audience. I learned about Malaysian financial crime can be traced a lot to other countries. I came to know how, so not only content knowledge, okay, it's a contribution or increase in content knowledge, but also to their reflection about what they learn, and I think with all this simple, it's simple, but it could inspire students to want to know more and to want to read more. Therefore, learning will become intentional, more intentional, rather than like, okay, study this for this exam, study this. No, this is to the world. Just give me a minute. All right, next is students' feedback. The next one is, okay, this is the starting of an online session. Sorry about that. Working from home. All right, so this global learning session, which started virtually, was this one. This was it, right? So it's a session with Head of International Relations of Opoli University of Technology, right? Managing differences in intercultural communication. So this is one of the ELC 650 that I did. And students' feedback from global learning sessions. So I feel more confident to communicate with people from other parts of the world. And these are some of the feedback they wrote, right? I feel motivated, extremely happy. It has increased my knowledge about how society works. The session was so much fun. I feel the need to appreciate and treasure the similarities. I'm more interested to become an exchange student. I feel enthusiastic. I want to study abroad. I feel more courageous to interact, although I've never traveled before. So, okay, this is another one. Okay, this was in May, right? So the students are very excited when you get them to you give them this sort of opportunities. And this is another one conducted, and I think this guest speaker, okay, because she is also a lecturer, right? Dr. Grace Lee. So she did a Kahoot game with the students, and the students who scored the highest mark receive universities door gifts from the university. So she arranged for that to be posted to the students who answered the questions with the highest mark and the highest score, the fastest, right? So it's quite fun to know the extent of, our guest speaker is excited to have to be involved with this. Right, so global learning session. This is another one, right? By Dr. Farah Ayuni. Okay, so it's on circular economy. This CEO, he is Dr. Jordi Oliver is from Spain and Barcelona. So he spoke about this to her group of students. Okay, why do we do it, right? Again, these are the feedback. So shares concept of circular economy, production of durable, eco-friendly products. Other people's waste could be other people's resources. I had learned about the concept of circular economy and eco-innovation, as well as from different perspective of the speaker as an expert in this field. Also, the students get to understand the implementation regarding the circular economy at the company. And also this is quite important. In Spain, most of the company and manufacturer are advised to use eco-packaging where it can be reused or recycled, reduce single-use plastics, minimize waste to be managed so that less cost is needed. So with all this exposure, what do you think the students do next? All right. So this is something that, you don't have to answer. I mean, they will do their own reading and learning will become more intentional. Okay, inshallah, based on all this exposure we give them. Right. So this was another one, okay, in Sabah, Akademi Pengajian Bahasa Sabah. So this was for ELC 590. A colleague of mine, I introduced a colleague of mine to a colleague in Sabah. So we conducted a session on how to effectively deliver speech online. Basically, this topic, even we can deliver it as ELC lecturers, right? But I think somehow when it comes to the students, I think after 10 weeks of listening to us, so when we have other people listening to, when we have someone else coming to take our place, basically to share, on that level, and also the students feel more excited to learn, I guess. And it's like as if we can't tell that we can, but of course when you have someone else, a native speaker of English, to talk about speaking English and how to give good oral presentation, of course it becomes more meaningful and it adds value, and I don't think the students will ever forget that learning session. Okay. And this is another one. This is actually for one of my codes. I teach global Englishes for LG243, English for Intercultural Communication. So one of the subjects is global Englishes, to expose students to different English, the varieties and the variation of the English language. For it's used in different parts of the world, because English is widely spoken and it's a lingua franca across region. So to expose students, to give the exposure to students about the different variation of English. So this friend of mine is from Puerto Rico. So the students found it really exciting to listen to her speaking English with a Spanish Puerto Rican accent. So it was really exciting. All right, so again, I don't have to explain. Students, of course, they get really excited. And I think one of them actually mentioned, like, it's interesting to know that although we are in Malaysia, and Malaysian and Puerto Rican have, we have to some extent similarities, especially in terms of being a collectivist society. right? Although Puerto Rico is under the US government, but they have their own sort of like state governor lah. They have their but their value is very similar to Malaysian. We are very collectivist society according to Hofstad theories of cultural dimension. All right, so yeah, okay. The next session is with a professor from Australia, right? This is also very, very interesting. I think I have shared this recording on CIDL website, right, and the CIDL, and this was from conducted with the professor from Cyprus. Cyprus, nanti Google kat mana Cyprus tu. Yeah, okay. Okay, this was another session which I conducted because remember Global Englishes, I was talking about variation of the English language. So I invited a colleague from South Korea to speak to the students. And I think being a South Korean, and being a Malaysian, we are attracted to anything that is South Korean, right? I think the students here are very excited when I showed the poster of this session and to be engaged. I think he is also very happy and thrilled to be in the classroom and to speak with the students and to present about Korea and the English language, the history, the use and all that. So it's vice versa. I think it's an amazing experience for both the students and the guest speaker themselves, and of course us, people who coordinated it, right? So next is global learning session with this is from Scotland, Harriet Watt University from the UK, from Scotland. So we invited her for workplace communication. So the speaker has worked in many countries, including Malaysia. So it's interesting to have her compare the struggles or any challenges that she faced communicating with people in Malaysia who speaks English and people from other countries. So it's I have not posted this video yet. I have not edited the video, but it's in my personal YouTube account, but it's not on CIDL website yet. But I will share with you once. I have about 15 videos to edit. I would like to share to all UiTM lecturers, about 15 from last year yang I belum edit lagi. Nanti I lah edit, I lah yang connect semua ni sebab nak bagi nampak that sebenarnya it's not impossible. And from watching these sessions, I hope that I've received their permission to publish it. I hope that from watching all of these sessions, it will inspire and it will give that confidence and it will guide the other lecturers in UiTM to conduct this session. That's the reason why I think it's important to share juga the global learning sessions punya recording, especially the ones that I've conducted, just to show the flow and how it's conducted, right? Okay, inshallah, right. Moving on. So this is for ELC 650, a global session with Belgrade, is University Singidunum, Universitat of Singidunum from Belgrade, in Serbia. So it's in Europe, but
I'm listening.
Hello, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm paying attention, Ms. Nadiah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry, terkejut. Okay, kejap. Okay, so this is one, right? And another one is with a friend from my colleague from Pilsen, connected with another colleague. So conducted with EH and EC, electrical engineering and chemical engineering students. So they're all very excited. They ask a lot of questions. They asked a lot of questions about the talk and about the country, because she also shared about the country. I think Czech Republic is something, I think most of the students, when we asked about the map of Europe, they know until Germany, France, semua tu dia tahu. Tapi beyond that, which is central to Eastern Europe tu, dia dah tak tahu dah country apa. So it was very interesting to get the students to be exposed, to speak with someone from that part of the world. And she is the head of English department dekat university tu. So kita kena match lah students. Nanti I will tell you how and what to do. But now I'm just sharing with you to encourage you, hopefully, to see why we need to conduct global learning sessions. At least lah, target satu semester satu dulu kan, to start. Nanti bila you dah buat, you akan rasa seronok, and insyaAllah they build the confidence. You will find that this is really exciting, especially to think about your students punya outcome nanti, what the students will say, their reaction, right? Okay. So the next one is from Poland. Okay, this is with a group of medical students from Sungai Buloh campus. Okay, for ELC 650 juga. These are young our doctors to be lah. So, and these scientists which were invited, we have to match the students punya background a little bit lah. We have to match dengan, I think it's important to find that common ground between them. And this Dr. Alexandra is actually a scientist in genetics. So she studied in the UK, Finland, Germany and US, 15 years abroad. Okay, and so she spoke to the students, about the opportunities, about how she come from a lower income family and how she built herself. That didn't stop her, and she said there are many opportunities available. It's whether or not you want to take that first step to go abroad and study abroad. And she really inspires the students, and I think if you can read what the students wrote about her, which is really fantastic. Okay, and she's very young as well. Okay, so I have it here. Yeah, so the students wrote, I feel inspired and amazed by this session. Like, I wish to visit Europe. The session opened my eyes to how different culture could occur, different countries as I never go abroad before. So it was very interesting to get to know a lot of things, and it makes me excited to know more. I found it interesting and amusing that Dr. Alexandra shared her experiences in various countries and cultures. This is great for opportunity to learn about other countries. I have never been there before. She even shared about organism called MRSA, which is something we learn in our medical faculty. It is interesting that we can relate on a few medical things. Yeah, because this is an English language communication course. So if we can relate the speaker with the faculty, with the students, the background of the students, that will be more interesting, of course, because they can share something relates to what the students are studying. Okay. Right. The next one is global learning session with two, I would say, very top lawyers. Okay, I conducted this with faculty law students, and very glad to have them. This was initially introduced by a friend, and then a friend introduced another friend, and then after that I had a session with the three of them. With Anna and Brian, and then they feel that this is really for a good cause, especially because UiTM students demographic, we don't have undergraduate international students, right? So how else do we get our students to engage with international students or something that is outside of the country? So when we have this, when I explained to them the idea, the foundation behind this, and they were very excited to be part of it. So Alhamdulillah. And so this was one of my favorite sessions, actually, because the two lawyers, because they're lawyers, so I mean they know how to talk. They really, really leave a mark and impression, and they really give practical advice also, because some of the final words I would always ask the speaker to, like, okay, so these are graduating law students, like what advice do you have for these students? And they would say things like, you have to take care of your mental health, because as lawyers you deal with cases that can affect you or can change you as a person. When you talk about sexual abuse, child abuse, or crime, murder, crime, things that you lawyers, when you have to see this, and it can change you as a person, but you have to understand, you have to take care of your mental health, blah blah blah. So these are all practical advice from someone who has been practicing law for how many years, kan? Okay, so of course I invited them because they are from America, intercultural, diverse, environment. And she's from Poland. This lawyer from Poland. She came she moved to US. The parents moved to US when she was 13. No English. She didn't speak any English at all. But she graduated in a top school. She studied hard. She worked hard, and now she received that 40 under I think that under 40 successful lawyers under 40 awards or something. And now she is the president-elect in charge of 30,000 lawyers in the association. So it's really, really inspiring to have them to speak to the students, right? Okay, and of course, look at the reflection, because these are law students. So reflection dia pun panjang sikit lah. So, but I was really excited lah when the students wrote this, because like what I learn, you know, the things they learn, how they feel, right? And then I think kelakar juga bila ada student tu cakap, I feel great because this is the first time that you know I stayed on in the session. Otherwise kalau apa-apa session webinar lain, I just keluar while or something, right? So anyway, all right. So next, okay, this is one of the latest one that we did a few weeks ago with a professor from Northeastern University from Boston, US. So this is for world culture, right? He is a professor in communication studies, and he wrote about a lot about whiteness, about intercultural communication, all this, and he published many books. I think dia punya citation pun like 8,000 plus. But you know, I approached him. I wrote him an email, and I just explained about this idea of global learning. And then I asked him, would you like to speak to my students for 50 minutes, maybe 40 to 50 minutes? You know, anyway, I would love to talk to you more about it in a Zoom session. Lepas tu, we arranged for a Zoom session. And then, of course, waktu Zoom session tu lah, kena buat elevator pitch. You have 1 or 2 minutes to impress this person. So Zoom session, I cakap dengan dia, okay, this is ni, UiTM student, apa, tak ada international student, but anyway, ceritalah apa yang ni. And then kita, okay. And of course, if I may say that all of these sessions which I've shared with you are at zero cost. Number one is because of the duration. We convinced that it's only 40 to 50 minutes of your time with this kind of impact. So itulah, in terms of recycling guest speaker tu, I tak tahulah, nanti you have to discuss with your immediate boss macam mana. Tapi this is not to get MOU ke apa, bukan. The reason for this is more, kita tak boleh nak fikir untuk buat MOU sebab boleh maybe in the long run you see how your trust build, and see how, you know, because kita tak boleh nak macam squeeze, kan, tak boleh. It has to be a win-win situation. So how do you find that common ground to negotiate benda-benda macam tu? So as for him, it's enough for him to speak to my students, and the students were asking a lot of questions like, Professor, what do you think of this? Professor, what is this? Professor, what is that? You know, like, what is your opinion on this and that and this? And then at that time, it was kan during Trump punya during the election, and all these questions student ask je kan. And of course there's a theme to it lah, but of course they can ask questions related to anything that they want to ask this professor. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so this is more of like I convinced them that this is 40 to 50 minute session, and if they expect, in the first session tu memang kita akan tanyalah if they expect any monetary compensation. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I will discuss that for in how to. Okay, how this is just to share with you why. Okay, on CIDL webpage. Okay, if you can visit nanti CIDL UiTM.edu.my kot. Okay, tak apa, you just click CIDL je, nanti akan ada. And go to Global Learning punya CG. There I have shared about what the students say, about what the global learning practitioners say, what they, from their experience, how they feel throughout the process, and how we have assisted them. CIDL, CG Global Learning have assisted them to guide them to write email, to send invitation and all this. So inshallah, I will be more than happy to assist you with anything. I have even templates, you can have a look. Of course, please amend according to your course, all right? And yeah, I have, so far we have assisted maybe about 30 sessions more, okay? So we're trying to get more, inshallah. Until today, so March 2020, since the pandemic, until January 2021, we have about 1,340, I think 60 something. Okay, but yeah, I rounded off. So about 1,370 students reached through global learning sessions. All right, so of UiTM students reached. So if you can see, this is only throughout the pandemic, and I think, and this is only when global learning session was first introduced. And I hope I really thank ILD Kedah for giving me this platform to share, so that hopefully now students in Kedah will be able to experience global learning, and we can have more students to be exposed to things to issues and people outside of Malaysia, and especially guest speakers who we invite are experts in their field or industrial players, people with experience who can share with the students real life knowledge, okay, or practical knowledge. Okay, okay. So, are there any questions? I'm not sure. Let me check. Okay, so far no questions. Yeah. All right. Okay, no questions. So right. Okay, I'm going to continue. Let's talk about how we do this. Okay, I've shown you some photos of the global learning sessions. Now let's look at, this is the most important thing I would say, planning for it. So we have actually devised this there are three phases: the planning phase, the implementation phase, and the review and improve phase. Okay, so we also applied for copyright for this one because I've not seen this anywhere else, and we want to be the first to have actually. Okay, based on the experience, okay, global learning scale in a high learning institutions. We're talking about higher education institution lah. So the scale here refers to the aspects of time and people involved in the planning. Okay, if you can see, the highest part is the institutional part, where we have double degree program or masters, dual degree or double degree masters and all that. So these are it takes a long time and a lot of people in the discussion and even all that to have that to kickstart. Okay, like probably 1 or 2 years. Okay, it cannot happen within a month, right? So and then there's a faculty level, program level, course level. Now, I'm going to focus today on the lesson. Sebab apa? Lesson ni, like I said, I think I mentioned earlier, global learning is the initiative of the class lecturer, the subject lecturer tu. Okay, untuk initiate cooperation, to connect, to establish professional, from her own professional networking. Now, don't worry, if you don't have, you can start creating it. There are a lot of platforms for this, and I'm going to share some of the very practical ones which I did. Okay, so this is a bottom up, it's not a top down. So how we got to CIDL in the first place, it was after this module was introduced and kita masuk innovation, IDEX, innovation competition, teaching and learning, we won gold, and then of course it's in line with education 5.0 at UiTM, and with that I think that's how we got into we became the initiative dekat CIDL ni lah, right? So the lesson we're focusing on the lesson punya level ni, right? How an individual lecturer can do it sendiri. Of course, I mean you need 1 or 2 people lah to advise, especially your RP kan and your KPP maybe. I mean that's all. And then because we don't change anything in the syllabus, it's just that we supplement what we teach them in class with a knowledge of that includes in the real world punya knowledge outside of the country. Okay, so let's talk about the phase, the 3 phases. Okay, the first one. Okay, how do we do this? Okay, planning. Now, planning this whole global learning experience for the students. Now, step 1, the most important thing is to study the syllabus, right? I think you've been teaching the course for years and years, and I think you would know the course by heart already, okay? You have to understand the student learning outcome of the course. You have to zoom into the topics and the subtopics, and you have to have in mind who you could potentially invite. Now, kalau face to face, kan kita attend international conferences, but now dengan virtual mode of everything, ya Allah, insyaAllah lebih mudah and at a very very minimal cost. So walaupun tak ada international conference yang kita, but there are still webinars, there are still somebody somewhere is hosting some webinars right now as we speak. All right, so if you can get access to that, and I think the best platform for me so far is LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn has a lot of things that, okay, once we like something on LinkedIn, it will harvest, or it will things that are of our interest will start appearing more and more and more, linking to that. So with that idea, and I think there you will find more opportunities. Okay. And step 2, know your students. Okay, know their background of study, their engagement level in the English language, especially because you will be using English. And I did convince these guest speakers and told them that, okay, you know what, our students are, all the courses in UiTM are taught in English, well, except for foreign languages. So the students should not have any problems understanding you, right? So that's what I told the speakers, and alhamdulillah, so far, I think it's been quite, I think it's been all right. Okay. And step 3 is to match the topic and the subtopic to the person you are inviting. Now, when you approach the person who you deem fit to the course, in your email, you introduce your course, you talk about your students, you talk about the objective of this session, you state the duration, be clear about your intention. And I think it would be best, like you have that introductory email, lepas tu you request a Zoom session. Okay, I use Zoom because they like to use Zoom a lot. All my speakers yang I have conducted global learning session ni, ramai suka guna Zoom. So macam kalau I nak ajar Webex, saya cakap, can we use Zoom instead? Okay lah, I pun macam, okay lah, sebab dia orang guest speaker kan. So I have to oblige. So Zoom lah pun memang guna Zoom, tapi Zoom senang pun nak guna. So have a pre-discussion, and no matter how familiar you are or close you are to person, nanti you kena tanyalah soalan ni, will they be expecting any monetary incentive, like any monetary compensation. So I don't know, depends. Biasanya Zoom session ni lah I tanya, I tak tanya dalam email. I akan request for a Zoom session because everything is virtual now, orang boleh go online, it's very fast. So if you I will share some email samples nanti. Please make amendments, change accordingly. And when you talk about money ni, you kena tanyalah sama ada they expect or not. Tapi so far, all the sessions I've shared with you just now, tadi ada berapa puluh session tu, tak ada cost. Sebab one is from my own personal connection, and when I ask them, so do you expect any, Nadiah, come on, like what are you, macam they will find me ridiculous to say that. But it depends, especially kalau orang tu you belum pernah jumpa ataupun baru nak engage, tanyalah. Kalau okay, sebab kadang-kadang kalau kita explain the way is how we negotiate and how we pitch the idea juga, I think that no, never mind, it's just 50 minutes, less than an hour. Sebab tu I letak only 50 minutes lah maximum. So of course biasanya memang akan extend secara tak sengaja sebab student akan tanya soalan dan sebagainya. It will extend about 1 hour 15 minutes macam tu. Okay, tapi at least we have made it clear to them yang they don't expect any money lah. Kalau ada, memang ada lah dia punya, nanti kena follow, ada guideline macam mana paperwork dan berapa rate yang UiTM allow to pay people from outside. Yang tu dia akan jadi complicated, but no, it's not impossible. Boleh je, no problem. Paperwork semua you buat je, tak apa. Tapi it will probably take longer, depends on how fast your PTJ approves and all that, meetings and all that. So anyway, so step 4, discuss and get approval daripada management lah, from your PTJ. Kalau you lecturer biasa, lecturer yang tak pegang RP ataupun bukan head department, I think you have to talk to someone lah atas issue. What do you think about this? And then filter together lah, sesuai ke tak. Jangan invite orang yang macam controversial, politically ke apa, tak payahlah. Because this is for the students, right? Kita nak bagi students exposure to the world that it outside. Sekarang ni lagi lah, dia orang tak keluar rumah. Sekarang rasanya keluar rumah, tak keluar state, tak boleh PKP, semua ada PKP, PKPB, PKPP, mana nak pergi tak tahu. So with this platform, global learning session conducted online, hopefully diorang akan rasa, look, you know what, everyone in the world is also suffering this. Of course, in my sessions, we talk about COVID situation in that country juga. Just briefly, introduction, just to small talk lah kan, to get them, share about what happened dekat US, what happened dekat Syria, what happened dekat South Korea, whether or not diorang ada movement control order ke, ada lockdown tak, ada fine imposed if you go out or not, all these things. So it's quite interesting to know and listen from orang tu sendiri kan. Okay, so alright, so I think you can also convince your management that it will be at zero cost and you are changing nothing in the syllabus. You don't change the syllabus pun. It's just you upgrading your delivery by students, you dah explain kat students pasal this topic teori, semua tu you dah share, because the person is not supposed to replace you. It's supposed to supplement you. Okay, so to give the students the learning experience, the core thing of global learning session is students' learning experience. Because if we manage to give impact dekat students' learning experience ni nanti, and learning will become intentional, learning will become self-directed. Diorang akan nak cari sendiri, nak faham sendiri, nak tahu sendiri. No, this is what we want, and hopefully it will pave a new life lah. I mean, their own life lah. Whether or not they come from a B40 family ke, M40 family ke kan, hopefully this will be something that could inspire them to pave their future. Okay, step 5 is you firm up the details, set the duration, date, time. It could be probably different time zone. This is very exciting actually when we talk about the time zone. Sebab even this morning before I have ILD Global Learning Session at ILD Kedah, I had a session with, I told you I had this session, Zoom session dengan my friend. I baru jumpa dia actually on LinkedIn. We just connected. I attended one of the webinar and then she connected with me and all that. So we had a Zoom session this morning. She's a Pakistan, but now she lives in Toronto, Canada. So the time difference is like 11 hours, right? So I really have to plan. So she needs to start like 7:30 p.m. and I kat sini 8:30 pagi. So it's exciting lah when we have. Tapi kalau US Canada tak susah sangat sebab kalau kita ada kelas pagi, diorang pun macam malam the day before kan. So senang. Alright. Anyway, so the whole global session, the whole idea of this is to let the students and you embrace the whole global learning session experience ni. You have to embrace it, especially the time difference. Kadang kita ada global learning session ni pukul 8 malam, pukul 9 malam. Sebab apa? Sebab it's after office hours for people in Germany. Saya pernah conduct satu meeting ni sebab saya nak pitch my idea about global learning session to these people. So it was 3 p.m. Berlin, 3 p.m. Berlin, Germany, 9 a.m. Chicago, and 10 p.m. Malaysia. So semua different time zone. Tapi itulah alhamdulillah, because I really need, sometimes kita nak tulis banyak-banyak dalam email tak susah kan. So that's why dekat last kali dalam email tu you akan cakap, if you allow me, can I request for a Zoom session with you? Maybe like about less than 30 minutes kind of Zoom session. So with Zoom session, usually I boleh convince orang lah. Like, okay, this is what we're doing for UiTM and the students demographic and all that. Talk about Malaysia and all that. And most of them tak pernah datang Malaysia pun. Most of the speakers yang I have ni. So it's also very interesting for them to know about us. So in that way, it's a bit you can see that it's a win-win lah. Okay, all right. Okay, this is one example I want to share. I attended a webinar. I signed up for a webinar which was advertised on LinkedIn. Okay, I signed up, I attended. So when I attended, and I really like this speaker, Maria Mohidin. She's a founder and director of the Social Innovation Lab in Pakistan. Amazing work. Like, oh my God, she's a woman, Muslim, and she can do this. I feel like so empowered. So whatever she says, I was responding to the chat box. Like if you can read, it's a little bit small, but I quote what she said: "I am because you are" should be immortalized for social impact activities for universities. Because I really listen and I respond to what she says. And other speakers from Europe, from America, and from UAE, seorang lagi tu, and yang tengah tu dari UK. So these are from different countries. But she really sparkled. Her points and ideas are amazing. So anyway, so she found me on LinkedIn. She approached and she said, "Thanks for your feedback during the University World's new seminar. I would like to stay connected and explore ways in which we can support each other's work." I said, "Hi Mariam, you are truly an inspiration. Thank you for all those wonderful sharing of initiatives. Let's stay in touch. Thanks for connecting with me." And then dia pun cakap, "I'd love to find some time to speak with you the next few weeks and learn more about your work," because I think she saw my profile on LinkedIn, and I think that's how the discussion became ni. Lepas tu, sounds great. Okay, let's do that. Let's arrange for a Zoom call or something. Sure thing. I'm in Toronto these days, as we have quite a crazy time difference. I think your morning. So anyway, so we planned for this, and time I attend webinar dia ni pukul 9 malam tengah lipat kain. Tapi dengar, I mean we are only human kan. Siapalah I ni behind this, I'm still a mother, wife, and so kita ada responsibility. So sambil dengar webinar tu, lipat kain tu, oh okay. Lepas tu sempat lagi komen. And then duk fikir lah macam mana ni kita nak get our students, UiTM students to be exposed to this, and even our lecturers. Okay, so now I want to show you some example syllabus which has successfully implemented the global learning session lah. So this is from Faculty of Law. I really like this syllabus very much. I wish I'm taking it. So my colleague dekat Faculty of Law, Dr. Syaf Shah Idris, actually highlight a few things from here and invite relevant people to talk about this. On top of the content she shared in the classroom, she also shared this dekat she also request that the person talk about this in the country lah. So contohnya environmental law in Australia, environmental law in UK for example. So all this kan kita ajar Malaysia punya konteks, apa yang Malaysia punya environmental law. Tapi bila you put other laws and you get people from different countries to give the different perspective in what they're doing actually in their country, that's amazing kan. Dia student akan rasa seronoknya. Ya Allah, macam I don't know, if I put myself in the student's shoe lah, I jadi macam excited bila wow, lecturer bawa, arrange for all these guest speakers to speak with us, to talk about environmental law, just to give that more, understanding and contextual knowledge. Look, wherever we are, we have this kind of, there are some similarities between us juga kan. Okay, so that's one. Banyak lagi I think topik-topik kat sini yang boleh buat global learning, tapi let's not be too ambitious nanti macam ni, wildlife management. Maybe we can get university from Stellenbosch University from South Africa to talk about wildlife management ke apa, something that is that that the country is good at it, right? I don't know, maybe just from your reading or your understanding. So yeah, you can approach, all right? Everything starts with you just googling for information. It's up to you. You nak guna LinkedIn, you nak guna, tapi so far because LinkedIn is a professional networking punya platform kan, I don't update anything anymore on Instagram. I don't need, it's just on LinkedIn because that's like my portfolio for what I've done. What I've done. So kita ada macam, well for me at least I have about 20 years to go insyaAllah kalau umur panjang in this line. So I start to create my platform there. The idea behind it was actually sebenarnya dah ada 10 tahun dah LinkedIn tu, tapi baru start update balik sebab apa? The other day I was asked by this one professor, Nadiah, masuk, you pick your idea kat sini. Lepas tu when I was filling up the form for this one international conference lah, to be the keynote, and I pitch my idea kat situ, tapi dia minta LinkedIn profile. I was like, alamak, tak update. So macam lepas tu slowly lepas December onwards macam tu, I dah start update LinkedIn balik what we have done, and yeah, so what we did lah for the university. Anyway, right, so LinkedIn, of course Google, you boleh find out the person is prominent ke tak, tapi I rasa the best way is LinkedIn sebab dekat situ akan ada dia punya affiliation company dia, semua apa yang dia kerja yang dia dah buat. Right. Another syllabus, okay sorry, this is one syllabus, this is intercultural communication, one of the courses I teach as well. So talk about managing differences in intercultural communication. So of course this one can be anyone with experience in intercultural communication, work abroad, work and travel abroad basically. I look for someone from that portfolio. So insyaAllah banyak dapat, okay, it's just a matter of how you want to convince them to speak to your students lah. Then to your surprise, some of them kalau yang bukan full-time lecturer, kalau macam diorang admin ke ataupun kalau CEO diorang confident jugalah, tapi lebih kepada macam lecturer yang tidak memegang jawatan ataupun diorang pun sebenarnya takut juga, diorang pun rasa nervous. So macam I have to coach them as well, like okay, basically we're not going to ask you anything beyond this is going to be like based on this, because for some of my guest speakers is their first time to give a talk to students outside of their country. So they feel that you have to understand the anxiety as well. Kalau kita dijemput untuk bagi talk dekat luar negara pun kita akan rasa anxious. So do as much as you can to facilitate the process, because at the end of the day it's for the students, And I think it's just a little bit of work. If you want more information, I think I can share. Tapi most of the sessions yang I personally conducted, I bagi slide kan, Google document slide tu, I akan share all these things, what I need them to cover, and the questions semua ada attached to, and then they will add more information there. So I can share with you some of that I've conducted. From I akan buat slide show yang with all the agenda, apa yang I nak bersembang-sembang dengan dia, topic of discussion semua, and then sometimes memang they will go above and beyond juga kadang-kadang. They will add more materials dalam tu. So which I think to me is something that it's a win-win lah juga, because they want to give as the best they can, and we want to assist them as much in, you know, at the end of the day we are thinking about the impact on the students, right? Yeah, I'm not repeating myself. Okay, lama berapa minggu tak ada kelas ni, banyak cakap pak. Alright, right, okay, so alright. Next is, I think this one was shared by Dr. Farina. I think FSKM office in your in UiTM Kedah. Okay, I can see some potential when I look at the syllabus kan, global e-business and collaboration, ethical and social issues in information system. Oh my God, so exciting. I think you can get a lot of people. There's a pool of people who are an expert in this field. You can invite them to talk to you, and you can approach people from America, from anywhere you want. Actually, basically, it's up to you as a class lecturer. Tapi you have to know lah your topic ni apa, and you have to know a little bit of the background. Request for this Zoom session, and then nanti cuba discuss like, okay, I'm teaching this ethics in information society, or the moral dimension of information system, whatever this is. It's very exciting to me. I would love to attend a global session on this topic, and then you find a common ground, like what would you like her or him, the guest speaker, to cover, right? And the next one is on e-commerce, digital markets, digital goods. If you can get someone from Alibaba, some managing directors or CEOs or whatever, if you can convince them to speak to your students on this, that would be fantastic, don't you think? This, you have to expose them to all this. I think secara formal lah. You have to expose them to this secara formal. And what they gain from social media, sometimes they tak filter tau. So I think it is our job to facilitate and assist for the student, to assist the students lah to acquire valid, legitimate information. And if we can contact, all these experts and global players in their field, in these boxes yang I cakap ni, oh my God, that would be fantastic for the students. Supply chain management system, I think kita ada banyak. I think on LinkedIn lah at least yang I nampak. Tapi itulah, I tak follow sangat orang-orang macam ni. Tapi sometimes dia appear. Kalau I tak like, dia takkan appear sangat dah. So yang mana-mana yang I like, dia akan keep on appearing, and dia akan ada more new things about that organization or person. So I think you will know your stuff better, sebab my background is English language communication, intercultural communication studies, right? So I focus ke arah tu lah dari segi and of course internationalization and global education and all that. So my LinkedIn will be full with that kind of thing. So yours, tailor it to your need and interest. And I think nanti dia ada with all this AI, whatever that interests you je yang akan keluar nanti in LinkedIn. Sama lah macam Facebook kan. Facebook dia kan, tapi kita cakap pasal nak beli handphone, tiba-tiba all ad handphone keluar kan. Kita cakap je. So now we are wondering whether our smartphone ada tapping system ke tak. But anyway, so yeah. So for me so far the best platform is LinkedIn. Okay. This is Dr. Farina's punya course. I can see I think in design studio or something, I can't remember, but but when I look at the syllabus, I tengok macam regional and international style of design application, unconventional and conventional design application. Oh my God. Okay, I get really excited when I can see the potential of globalization with all this, because sebenarnya ada je, tinggalnya the way you nak, the perspective you nak ambil tu. So macam you boleh fokus regional, international style of unconventional design, European for example, or Islamic, Middle East for example, kan semua design lain. And I'm sure you boleh cari dekat Academia ke, Publon ke, LinkedIn ke, all this, invite the writers of the papers, if you find that ni boleh sangat. It's either you takut ke tak apa. Yang tu kita CG Global Learning at CIDL, we can assist you, we can give you like whatever templates, but please change lah according to what you need. At least kita dah bagi skeleton, nanti you tambah lah apa yang you rasa ni, buang apa yang tak patut kan. And then at least to secure you global, start with one. You can plan for March punya semester kan. Boleh plan March, like siapa sekarang ni, for now because kita dah habis semester yang ni, so for now what you can do is just plan, look at the, what do you call this, look at the search lah, online search siapa, okay, create LinkedIn ke kalau tak ada lagi, and then get connected. So LinkedIn ni macam Facebook juga, cumanya is for professional network je. Kita tak ada post selfie, family makan, tak ada jual barang, tak ada. Dia lebih professional network about our work, about what we publish, semua kat situ. And kita akan tahu siapa connected to siapa, semua tu, and then nanti orang tu pun somehow akan connected to us baik. So okay lah, and then it's very professional punya ni lah. Okay, so anyway, so this is another thing. So nanti Dr. Farina boleh explore dengan, boleh brainstorm dengan your resource team. Like okay, what do we, siapa kita nak cari, and then okay, kejap banyak nak cakap ni. Kejap. Okay, yang tu I cakap.
Semua pesyarat di bawah Jabatan Grafik.
Yang tu I cakap, yang tu. Okay, so cultural competence for interaction. So this is Dr. Wan Irham. This is for ELC 650. Saya selalu guna syllabus yang ni lah. Cultural competence for interaction. Ways to become culturally competent. So cultural assessment, understanding dynamics of interculture. This is workplace professional interaction at workplace kan. English for professional interactions. So ways to become culturally competent, managing culturally sensitive workplace practices, being respectful of. So this best sebab you boleh invite orang yang ada enough knowledge to talk about this. Nanti you kena people who work with international office, like for example, or biasanya my context itulah, I can connect balik dengan orang yang would you like to speak to my students, people who have worked in different countries, and people who work in Malaysia tapi sebenarnya dari another country, that kind of portfolio. Itu pun dah enough sebab kita bukan nak cakap lama, and they don't have to be an macam, I would like to say expert, is their experience too of what their experience and reflection about going through all this, because it's experience is something that we can't download, right? It's something that the person has to go through to be involved in it, to feel it. They have to go from their experience of it. So student akan dapat different perspective nanti, and macam ni, really, that that you want that spark in them too, that spark that okay, you know what, yeah, alright, I can do this too, or yeah, I face this as well. Okay, so yeah, and okay, tu baru phase 1 sekejap. Okay, phase 2 implementation. Okay, so this is the phase 1 is the planning kan, phase 2 is implementation. So inform your students, get them early, especially ini for students yang in remote areas. I understand some students memang kena travel into to town to sit for some tests. Kalau I kena buat online test, yang speaking test ke apa, they have to travel. Dia memang kena pergi town because they know dekat rumah internet is not stable and all that. So I don't know, you have to plan this ahead, especially if your students are from these locations, remote locations. Remind them about the etiquette for online discussion. Okay, I think just know. And also I think European punya, they have this law, GDPR law. I think you maybe some of you know this. Like I think I have to inform the students to be very mindful about posting the videos and photos of this talk, because some of them are very specific to having their photos taken. I remember when I was in Poland, I tak ada kelas foto sebab daripada 15 student tu ada satu student tak nak sign tu. Dia tak nak gambar dia digunakan. So tak ada kelas foto. Can you imagine? Tak ada kelas foto yang yang letak dekat program tu lah, tak ada. So I kena ambil kamera, gambar guna kamera sendiri, and even if I nak bergambar dengan dia pun dia akan tutup muka macam ni. Dia tak nak muka dia. So okay, it's individual's right? So I can't force her. So the whole class tak boleh ambil gambar kelas sebab dia tak nak. So anyway, okay, personal law, something I can't remember. Okay, GDPR. Okay, so prepare the pre-activity for your students, what they have to read before this session, plan the flow of the session. So macam introduction, main topic, question and answer. So you can do it any way you like, macam you nak moderate ke, you nak students to moderate ke, ataupun you control the session, students nanti ask questions. And if you want to be careful, have the students to macam have the students to, what do you call this, kita dah tahu kan topik tu pasal apa kan, so have the students to draft some questions and you filter sikit lah, mungkin kadang students ni ask questions yang apa-apa kan, so I mean but mostly tak lah, biasanya soalan dia sangat ni, tapi macam tengok juga lecturer punya background. Kalau macam yang from US tu, memang diorang banyak nak tanya juga pasal Trump, pasal what's happening there and all that, which is fine because out of curiosity, instead of just reading from the media or listening and learning from the media, the students also want to know from an American himself, or themselves. So yeah, I mean I would allow that in my class just to get them to expose kan, sebab kadang-kadang media ni dia tunjuk apa yang dia nak tunjuk, so it's very the stigmatization is very strong in media. So sekarang ni bila just to get all the side of the coins lah kan, just to get the students to be exposed. Okay, so step 3, have a pre-lesson discussion with your guest speaker. Lepas you dah prepare your students semua, you kena at the same time prepare with your guest speaker juga. So this is when I will just share slides. Please add whatever or remove whatever you think is unnecessary. Sebab I tak nak. Sebab, you have to understand. All the sessions so far is at a zero cost, free lah maksudnya. So and I don't want to take too much of their time to prepare for this. Unless they are like CEO ke yang memang dah ada slide-slide ni untuk diorang share about their company profile and all that. Tapi kalau macam the people who I approach ni tak pernah pun buat session macam ni sebelum ni dekat universiti, diorang tak pernah. Biasanya dia pergi face to face, invited kan. So if you don't want to take too much of their time, and that's why I memang sampai to the extent I will prepare the draft outline lah. This is the discussion, introduction apa semua, the content, the question semua I letak dalam situ, sebab I perasan pelajar-pelajar kita UiTM memang kalau tak ada slide dia lost. Dia kena ada slide. Even soalan pun letak dalam slide tu besar-besar pun cukup. Dia akan, kita tengah cakap pasal ni. Kalau tak dia macam, dia akan hilang sekejap. Tak tahu nak apa nak tanya dan sebagainya. So I perasan macam tu. Dan kadang-kadang kalau industrial players, dia tak berapa guna slide. Dia nak cakap je. So I rasa to complement lah. Kita kena cari macam mana kita nak mitigate. Kita nak the students to not be left out. Sebab kadang-kadang bila English ni kan, sometimes things are lost in their translation kan. Kita dah macam, so I prepare the students, the rangka discussion tu at least there. And then of course the students can ask questions related to it yang mana tak pre-plan. But you have to be clear about your role and your guest speaker's role, topics that will be covered, no surprises. Sebab kalau kita di-invite pergi bagi talk dekat ada universiti, kita tak nak ada that anxiety of, apa ni alamak, tak kena cakap pasal ni, tiba-tiba student tanya. No, kita pun we have to prepare lah our speaker juga, just to give them that input, especially kepada siapa yang tak pernah ada speaker kita yang tak ada exposure lah untuk bagi talk, right? So we can start with our colleagues yang kita jumpa kat conferences. We can start reconnect balik. You know that this person dekat conference ni is doing the same thing that you are doing. So just ask whether it would be possible, reconnect balik, arrange for a Zoom session, mengopi, mengetih, chit chat, just have a casual conversation and pitch the idea about global learning session ni. How would you like to be invited, to be a guest speaker in my class to speak about this topic? Step 4, conduct your lesson. So clear your mind, visualize things will go well, study the flow of the lesson. Tapi pernah ada satu global learning session ni yang saya conduct dengan kawan saya dari APB Seri Skandar. Rumah saya blackout 1 jam sebelum session tu. Blackout. As in blackout. No internet connection. I can only tether. Lepas tu my laptop ni pula dah old. Macam mana lah I nak tether with the online. It will not stay on for long. Lepas tu memang macam orang gila lah. Call TNB. Ya Allah, tolong. But Alhamdulillah, I think like 10 minutes before the session, the electricity is back on. So, these are the things you can't foresee, tapi always have a backup plan. And Alhamdulillah, nasib baik, when that happened, with all that the battery is left on my laptop and whatever I can tether on my phone, I terus terus share je. Okay, nah bagi link ni you jadi host semua. Nanti kalau I lost pun tak apa, you know. Memang sangat panik lah juga sebenarnya. Itu quite interesting. Yang lain so far Alhamdulillah okay. Tapi yang part electric blackout ni, kalau internet down tu kita boleh tackle lagi kan. Ni electric blackout, rumah gelap. So yeah, so if you have a support, if you have your colleague with you pun okay, Alhamdulillah. I mean, so what Diana, I transfer host punya power for Zoom tu semua kat dia. So Alhamdulillah it went well. And Alhamdulillah lepas tu power was back on. So okay lah. So you have to sort of like kena fikir lah, anticipate lah some things that can go wrong, especially with the internet connection. Okay, alright. So thank you for still listening to me. Dah berapa jam ni? Okay, baru 1 jam lebih. Okay, I will try to wrap it up. Okay. Okay. Phase 3, review and improve. Okay, step 1, okay, after the session dah habis, after that 50 minutes or 1 hour session tu dah habis, ask feedback. Okay, ask feedback for your students and ask, have students to write short reflection about what they learn, have post lesson. If you want the questionnaire pun I boleh bagi. Nanti cuma CLO tu you kena tukar lah. CLO, course learning outcome you kena tukar based of to fit yours. And then of course you have to have kalau boleh have a post lesson discussion. Macam biasa I buat, I will contact, itu I akan buat WhatsApp video call je lah dengan orang tu macam okay how was it, ni, I just thank you so much, ni semua of course, and then I can write a thank you email, right? Okay, this is very important to maintain good relationship. Okay, you have to be sure to include students' feedback, alright, in this email. So after student dah bagi feedback tu, bila kita nak write thank you email tu, personalize lah sikit, students cakap ni dan sebagainya. Kau tak nak pun share je lah questionnaire punya feedback tu share je lah, boleh je. Tapi tengoklah grammar tu jangan teruk sangat. Bagilah boleh faham. Okay, biasa I share je so that students orang tu pun akan rasa macam appreciated kan. So it's a win-win situation lah for students and our guest speaker. And of course buat self-review, how you can improve and plan your next global learning session. Okay, I think tu je kot. Sekejap So some FAQs. Now, these are questions yang banyak kali I dapat. What if I don't know anyone? Nadiah, what if I don't know anyone from industry for overseas, blah, blah, blah. Well, explore university website, online search for speakers. I forgot to add ni kat situ, LinkedIn. Okay, go to LinkedIn, start to build your profile. Sebab, like what happened to me and Maria, she's the Social Innovation Lab punya founder kan dekat Pakistan. Oh my god, work really amazing because her model is very is sustainable and equitable. Very, very sustainable model untuk how you want to help the community and build it and turning it into a business model. So I cakap, oh my god, this is very interesting and I plan to invite her to speak to UiTM students lah basically. Tapi ini tak ada tailor to any course syllabus, maybe boleh relate sikit dengan Sulam. Tapi my discussion with her just now is whether or not she can talk about practical baby steps for students to make an impact into the society. What they can do as a university student with no resources or limited resources, with no affiliation yang macam besar-besar lagi, with no money and all of it, how they can play a role to make an impact in the society as a university student. But I told her, be very practical, baby step, one baby step at a time. So just now the discussion was on that. So hopefully we can plan something. I will get the students to arrange for this. Yeah, but this is not related to global learning session. Cumanya, I'm just networking and thinking how we can benefit the UiTM students. Whatever I can, itu macam tu je lah, okay. So does it have to be international speaker? We encourage international speakers and speakers from the industry. Sebab we want the students to be exposed to people who are memang from different countries and different parts of the world lah. Okay, so people from different countries, nationalities, the business world, real world, these are people who really practice what we learn, what they are learning theoretically in the classroom, to expand students' knowledge and worldview. And of course, ada macam speaker from Sweden, from Malaysian yang kerja kat Sweden, Malaysian yang kerja dekat US, yang kerja dengan bank negara and all that. So yeah, of course you can. Tapi tengoklah topik you tu. Kalau kata sesuai, okay, why not? Boleh. right? That is also considered as a global learning session. But of course, we encourage someone who is different lah. Somebody yang budak-budak tak biasa tengok pun kan, right? Should global learning session be open to other participants? Okay, we do not encourage this. Sebab apa? So far, the global learning sessions I've conducted is up to 2 to 3 groups je. 1 to 3 groups of class je. Sebab apa? Kita tak nak students rasa intimidated and inhibited to ask questions. Sebab when you have students from different program, sebenarnya it's tailored to the syllabus pun. How can you have people from different program? Tak boleh. Dia kena orang yang ambil course tu je. And global learning session ni is the lecturer's own personal lesson tau. So kalau kita tak nak, we don't make it open. Macam ada kawan-kawan saya tanya, tak ada ke link untuk ni? Tak. Memang tak ada. Sebab especially kalau kita tak nak, we don't want us to feel inhibited juga or to feel we can't be ourselves with the speaker and the student. Bila kita ada kalau our colleague yang kita trust, we anggap them as friends and all that tu, kita invite lah masuk kelas kita kan to look at how we conduct this, right? But if the session, kalau colleague kita tu kita rasa macam nanti kena hentam je ni, ataupun you know that this person is going to question your everything kan, so macam okay, kita tak nak. So that's why it's actually lecturer punya own personal lesson. Cumanya kita include the aspect of global learning session ni to expose the students lah. It's actually to have the students in mind basically. Okay, this is a class, it's a lesson and exclusive engagement between students. We want to encourage students engagement with the speaker. Kalau kita buat terlalu besar kelas tu, kita ada sampai 4, 5, 6 kelas, student akan jadi takut nak tanya soalan. Student akan sebab apa? Alamak, nanti aku tanya English betul tak? You know, all this doubtfulness that they have. I mean, even us pun ada, apatah lagi students kan. So however, the session will be recorded subject to permission. You have to ask the permission from the guest speaker and upload it on the website. Well, that's my intention. As I mentioned, the reason why I recorded all these sessions that I have conducted is because kita nak guide and nak bagi exposure to other lecturers, understand the flow. This is how it has been conducted. Of course, you can improve. Ada apa-apa you rasa yang lagi better, please do improve it. But this is it. Of course, subject to permission and also edit lah. Kita edit sikit lah. Some of the things tu tak perlu pun. Small talk tu buang. Go straight to whatever that is related to the syllabus and the session. Okay. Okay. And anything else? How long should it be? 40 to 50 minutes. Okay. Sebab I cakap lagi satu, kita tak, kalau especially in the session yang so far yang we have conducted 30 over sessions ni, memang so far zero cost sebab kita hanya tulis masa tu 40 to 50 minutes je. And then kita want to take their time kan, it's a professional time. You know, some of these people are paid very high kat luar. Tapi because the way we pitch the idea to them is that it's going to be good for the students, and we talk about UiTM punya student demographic lah. And alhamdulillah macam kalau Americans, so far lah, based on my experience and how I pitch the ideas to them, diorang akan rasa this is part of a greater cause that is a CSR for them. Right. So does it have to be an international speaker? Okay, this one I dah jawab, sorry. Okay, we also prepare like a certificate to appreciate lecturers who conduct this commendable effort. Okay, this is lecturer yang ajar industrial ecology dekat Faculty of Health Sciences. So kita memang bagi certificate lah untuk dia, and this is also another lecturer. This is a certificate for the guest speaker. So CIDL akan keluarkan ni lah. So I've talked to CIDL punya head, come up with this idea, and then so everything will come from CIDL. I can prepare ni, bagi kat CIDL akan ni. And then this can be used for your ATP. Dekat mana nak letak? Dekat ATP, boleh letak dekat under either teaching innovation yang tak ada award, yang tak ada teaching innovation, sama ada teaching innovation, student development. And of course memang boleh letak satu lagi ialah sama ada accolades dekat your accolades, penghargaan. Nanti akan ada surat juga dari CIDL, CG Global Learning CIDL akan bagi surat kepada lecturers yang conduct this session. So memang boleh letak dalam ATP. Kita tak nak this effort goes to waste. We want to acknowledge because it's not easy to start. Once you dah start, insyaAllah you will get the hang of it. But of course ada satu form lah you kena isi supaya kita dapat semua maklumat-maklumat yang berkaitan, supaya kita boleh buat certificate, kita boleh buat surat untuk bagi kepada lecturer. Okay. These are some of the recognitions. We've entered a few competitions, Innovation, IDEX, Kinovasi, UKM, and and we won the CJ Award last year, inaugural CJ Award. and these are the certificate, we want gold and all that. So of course we want to further extend our competition, and we are trying to find international platform, okay, to look at, because my argument here is that global learning session so far memang highly it's written by Western literature lah banyaknya. So you have to find that ground where we can adopt it to Malaysian context, and specifically global learning at UiTM specific to UiTM students demographic. So if you have your phone with you, you can scan and drop your contact here. Nanti I will write you an email and list down all the phases that you have to go through, what you have to do, and I will attach all the samples for you to work with. Hopefully that will guide you to at least dah habis marking nanti, dah boleh start planning, dah boleh cari. Do work in a team of 2 or 3, kan? Work together with the RP sekali ke, tengok macam mana find a way to, yelah kadang 2 heads are better than 1 kan. I mean discuss, okay kita nak cari siapa, you ada tak, cuba contact plan ahead lah, syllabus subject mana yang, and then maybe 2 or 3 classes combine, sebab you 3 orang mengajar course tu. You nak buat seorang-seorang pun boleh, up to you. Tapi kalau you rasa nak start ni, you tak nak rasa macam it's a lonely journey, so you boleh start dengan, you pair up, you pair up with someone you trust, can work with, who you work well with, you know, to go on to embark on this, okay, to start this. So please don't be hesitant, you know, please contact me, get in touch with us. You can also visit our website, CDL CG Global Learning, to learn more about other sessions that have been conducted, right, on global learning ni. Nanti hopefully with that, I hope nanti you can sort of like get the gist lah. Kita record session, tapi sebenarnya ada lagi 15 session yang saya belum sempat edit and post lagi. Nanti insyaAllah as soon as I can, I will record, I will edit those raw videos tu. Nak edit bukan apa, nak buang yang part chatting depan tu dan apa, dan kita akan upload lah dekat CIDL punya website and YouTube. Right, and hopefully nanti with all those sessions yang dah conducted, I think about 37 sessions already, boleh, maybe hopefully it can assist other lecturers to also pursue and embark on this global learning session as part of UiTM punya initiative towards 2025. 2021 ni is one of the teras highlighted kan dalam amanat VC, tapi sebenarnya memang kita nak go sampai 2025 to target programs ada global learning aspect ni, ada global learning session dalam kelas. Dan I think next semester insyaAllah memang what I plan to do is the global learning classroom discourse, di mana I will get a group of my students to, I will arrange with this professor to get his students and my students to connect, and we will give like a simple assessment. It will not be assessed on paper, tapi it will be related to the topic in the syllabus, and then they will communicate, they will arrange their own meeting and all that, discuss, and then write like a short essay, like what is their reflection based on the session, what they learn about their friend. Well, that's is still in plan, but inshallah we are moving towards that. We want to get more engagement level lah, sebab sekarang ni what global learning session is doing is having the lecturer to connect with the guest speaker to connect with the students kan. Tapi what we are looking to make it more sustainable juga, we want to make it the students to engage with people from the students from other universities juga insyaAllah. Alright. So I think that's all, Dr. Farina. If you're still here, yes, you're still here. So if there's any questions or that I can help with.
I would like to ask one question, Ms. Nadiah.
Oh yes, Doctor, yes.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for your for your experience sharing plus knowledge sharing session. There's a lot to be learned, and also there's a lot to experience ourselves. And what I would like to ask is that how how do you what you call it? Uh, how do you find your students whether they are willing to accept speakers from international organizations to come and give talk? Were they excited or were they
Yeah.
apprehensive?
I think it's more on the positive side. They are very excited sebab someone who doesn't look like them and someone who speak English, tapi kita guna English lah as a lingua franca, and I did convince my speakers that my students understand English no problem because anyway all the programs are taught in English. And the students very excited lah. I mean some of the sessions they really dominate. They ask a lot of questions like non-stop. Like I had to stop them. Okay, this professor has to go. Itu okay. Tapi Dr. Wan Irham, if I can give you like a simple tip, start with a group of student yang you rasa dia punya engagement dalam kelas pun best. So because this will be, if this is your first global learning experience, start with the group of students yang you pun rasa confidence that they will be open to the idea. Sebab then after that slowly I think bila dia kan word spread, they will talk to each other with their friends and all that. So that could entice other students also to be good. But so far no apprehension lah on their part, more of excited tapi yang nervous kind of excitement tau, yang nervous. You can see when I ask them to switch on their video
Itulah.
kan, dia nervous lah, macam nervous ada orang lain daripada ni masuk dalam kelas and can see them, and then macam tapi
Yes.
overall kalau based on the feedback, if I can share with you the feedback I have over the sessions I've conducted, I have over 600-700 feedbacks. Memang semuanya very open to, they want more of this. Like they feel that this is an eye-opening experience for them. They feel that this is something that should be done more, especially for some of them yang macam I've never ada. My friend tanya dalam global learning session tu, dia tanya, so have you guys been to Europe? And then ada pula yang jawab, dia pergi on mic, dia cakap, no madam, we've never been outside Malaysia. You know, like I don't own a passport. No, they were just being very true about themselves. I mean, and
Yes.
to learn that I know some of my students, kalau first semester I get them to share, share one good thing you like about the view outside the window. And they come from a family yang rumah, the part where he studied, tak ada window pun. Window tu half done. And it's cemented. And he showed me dia punya dia punya floor ni soil, tanah. Tapi ni student ni from Sabah or Sarawak. But I don't know, I'm sure there are more macam ni. Tapi one of my student tu memang I suruh dia tunjuk orang lain, tunjuk view, tunjuk gambar garage dan sebagainya, whatever it is outside of them, because I want to know where they come from. Basically I want to know the demographic je, nak tahu location kat mana. So I cakap, so share one good thing you like about the view outside of your window. So this boy, dia tunjuk lah, and I was like, oh my god. And then the part where he studied memang bricks yang belum cement properly, and dia tak ada window yang properly shield, tak ada. So I was like, oh my god. And then to have him to speak to someone from Germany. So I remember the global session was conducted with his group dengan my colleague from Germany. So macam, I hope lah ada brush off something on the students, to want to do more, to make learning more intentional, to make them wanna change their whatever condition that they're in, to change the future lah, hopefully kan, towards that. And yeah.
Yes, that's good because finding students that you mentioned just now, finding students to ask questions even during our class is quite difficult. But now that's when it is interesting that when we have outsiders, students are excited to ask questions.
Tiba-tiba dia tanya soalan. Itulah,
Yeah.
I have different group of students. Satu dia tanya pasal content, satu lagi tanya pasal negara tu. Oh, do you guys eat this? Do you guys have halal food and all that? So macam jadi macam travel punya ni. But okay, it's as long as communicate, because for me, as for us, teaching English courses kan, language. So I don't mind as long as they ask something. Kalau tak, yang takut tanya pun dia akan type dalam chat box. So dia akan type lah. So as the session progresses, memang I will read the questions. So there's a question about Scotland punya ni, all these questions akan ada dekat dalam chat box. Kalau student tu takut nak tanya verbally. So at least, and I think we encourage lah, although the question is a bit silly ke apa, but I said no question is a stupid question. No question is a stupid. All the questions are really valued lah, valuable. So we encourage them. Thank you very much. And sometimes the speaker pun akan cakap, wow, thank you Manan, that's a very good question. Lagi seronok lah budak tu. So bila orang luar cakap macam tu kan, padahal it's a simple question, but I did explain to the speaker that there will be this sort of the students might be shy away, you know, so they know lah. I mean, especially kalau kita invite lecturers from other universities, dia akan faham. Student dia pun kadang macam tu jugalah, tak nak tanya dan sebagainya. So yeah.
Alright, thank you very much.
Thank
You
you,
are
Dr.
an
Wahid Irham.
inspiration. No problem.
No, thank you. Hope to get
I'm
more.
going, yes. I'm going to
Nanti-
use my Indonesian and Thailand contacts.
Yes, please do that. And
And
nanti
Vietnam also.
and you'll never know, they might reciprocate with you. They might invite
Yes.
you balik. So I mean, this could be, you could be, itulah macam ada orang tanya pasal MOU and all that. No, dia tak boleh nak fikir terlalu macam sekarang kita fikir student. Kalau MOU is different story lah. Sebab there should be more like a, kita tengok the extent, sebab ini basically a 40-minute session and then nak MOU, I think it doesn't balance. It's just sekarang ni exchange, we have to focus more on the impact that the students will receive based on the session. So I think Thailand, Vietnam, I think not every students, I think not all students have travelled pun to that part of the country, and it's good to expose. And then English is a lingua franca, so as a lingua franca for most of the people that are invited in the class. So yeah.
Alright.
All the best. Nanti if you have fill out the form, or you just contact me by email, or I will forward the information lah that you need, insyaAllah, to help you get started. So
I'll find you on LinkedIn.
Oh boleh. Yeah, my full name. That's all on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So all these sessions semua dah ada kat situ. Alright, so thank you very much Dr. Wan Irham, and thank you very much
Okay, most
ILD,
welcome.
UiTM ILD Kedah, Dr. Farina, for initiating this, for inviting me. I hope that you have take away some information lah from this session, and if you
We
have
are
any
inspired.
lepas ni UiTM ILD UiTM Kedah semua global learning session semua course. So itu something that we can work together lah, insyaAllah. Itu memang in line with university punya objective pun. Memang kita by 2025
capai KPI tu.
Yes, insyaAllah. Alright, thank you so much.
Back to Dr. Farina.
Yes.
Okay. Alright. Sorry. Okay. So thanks for the sharing session. Very inspiring. Tengok balik video ni. And thanks to Dr. Wan Irham for helping me out to assist Madam. And to the participants, harap semua dah isi attendance, because I dah share dekat, my team dah share dekat chat box. And I think dah tak ada soalan kot. Semua macam dah, I think
Penat dengar.
Right.
Banyak sangat cakap ni.
See more students. Okay, from Puan Maziana, thank you very much. Okay, so
Most welcome.
insyaAllah
Alright.
akan bermanfaat lah sharing session hari ni. And thank you so much, and we try to work on the e-cert.
Boleh. Boleh, no problem, insyaAllah boleh.
Siapa yang isi attendance, so insyaAllah kita try to come out dengan e-cert.
Thank you very much again for having me. Tak ada apa dah.
Okay,
Nanti just I think my UiTM email pun, I think if you type my name ada kot dekat nadiah.tj@uitm.edu tu, nanti we can contact. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my team dah add you as a collaborator dekat dalam Google Form tu. So nanti
Okay. Alright. Okay. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Alright,
you, madam.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Farina.
you.
Thank you, Dato.
Bye.
Wan.
Assalamualaikum.
Bye.
Bye.